Recording. Make sure I don't miss that. And just say thank you so much for joining us today. We're joined by Donna. Donna's the founder of August Recognition, a top global awards agency. Donna's helped hundreds of businesses raise their profile by achieving valuable awards and recognition for their achievements. So we're in very safe hands with Donna today. I'm going to hand over now and yeah, I'll let you begin, Donna. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. And thank you for joining us. And I know lots of people are going to be watching this on catch up, as I like to call it. So this will all apply then. But for those who are here today, this is a good opportunity for you to ask some questions if you have any along the way. So I will try and cover everything off for you now. But let's see if you've got some questions at the end because it's a good opportunity. So we're going to talk about how to write an award-winning entry for the Learning Awards this year. So just a quick introduction so you know who I am and what I'm doing here. So my name's Donna O'Toole. I'm the founder of August Recognition and Awards app. I'm part of the Dent Global Group with my business partners, Daniel Priestley. And I've been working in the awards industry for many, many years, close to 15 years, and I've run August for 10 years. So these are just some of our awards partners you can see here, and I've written a book on the subject, so which I'll give you a free copy of later. So hopefully there will be lots of information I can give you. However, I would also say I have been judging the Learning Awards also for many, many years, so I can give you lots of insights into the Learning Awards as well. So first of all, make sure you've got a note of the key dates, okay, for the Learning Awards. These are really important. So we've got the entry deadline is the 25th of September. Then the finalists will be announced on the 14th of October. Finalists presentations, so there's two stages to this competition, which I'll talk to you about. The presentations to judges will be between the 9th and 24th of November, and then the fabulous award ceremony is in February, which is really nice to have something to look forward to in the new year, isn't it? So you've got until the 25th of September. However, I always say, you know, it feels like it's a long way away, but with the summer coming up and holidays and things in between, you'll be shocked at how quickly that comes around. So why would you want to enter awards and what difference could it make to you? Well, I love this analogy for demonstrating how real the impact of awards can be, no matter whether this is for your own business or you're part of a department in a larger business. So this was some research that they did to test people's perceptions of awards on food and drink. And they took some wine, they decanted it into two different bottles. One bottle had an award, one bottle didn't. And then they asked people to taste test the actual wine. Now, it was the same wine in both bottles, and yet the public decided that the wine with the award tasted better than the wine without an award. So I think that's really powerful demonstration of how perceptions are real when it comes to awards, and they influence our feelings of quality, price, value, and everything else. So think about that on your business or on your department or your teamwork. You know, if you're award winning, the perception is straight away that you've got something that's higher quality than somebody else. So when we're looking into awards and when you're deciding about which awards you should enter, I think it's really important to first of all consider your impact. And I would say judging these awards and lots of different awards over the years, the impact is always the thing that people struggle with most, and yet it's the thing that's going to make the biggest difference to your awards. So I like to refer this to Newton's third law of motion, which I'm sure you've already heard of before. Every action has an opposite or equal reaction. Now, in some respects, I think that's a good analogy for awards in themselves because you get out what you put in. The more time and energy and preparation you put into this, the more you're going to get out of it. But that's the same for the projects that you're entering into the awards. Okay, so yes, we are interested in what actions that you've taken, but we're really interested in the impact of those actions. So what's been the consequences of those or the reactions? And we'll talk a little bit more about that. So I want you to start thinking in that vein, really, when thinking of entering the awards. And when you get to deciding on which awards to enter and which categories to enter, this is a really good framework for understanding how you can fit into different categories and where your USP is really, where you're standing out and therefore what you should be aiming for. So this Venn diagram you can see on the screen here is all working together to come to this sweet spot of winning. And this is based on Aristotle's modes of persuasion. So this is something that I've enjoyed learning about over the years. My background is linguistics, so something that I really enjoy. And this is actually a framework for how to win an argument. So an award is a bit like an argument, really. You're making an argument for why you should win that category. So in order to win, what you need to do is you need to take your impact on a logical sense. So that's like why you do what you do or why you did the project you did logically, why that would make commercial sense. But then you add to that the impact and the values on an emotional sense. So this is where you get engagement. So values is what the beliefs that have gone on behind it, the human impact that you're going to make. So less on the logic and more on the emotion. It's a bit like the left side and right side of your brain. And then you need to bring both of those together with evidence. And that's what gives your entry credibility. Okay. So, and we call that ethos. So evidence on a logical impact side of things is data. So that tends to be percentages, results, things like that. Whereas on the value side of things, it's qualitative. So that tends to be feedback, testimonials, stories, that kind of thing. So there's a lot to bring together to wrap up into an award-winning entry. If you've entered before and you haven't won, it's probably worth you taking a look back at your previous entries and seeing how well you managed to achieve that combination. It's also really important to get in the right race to showcase your strengths and to prove your successes. Now, I always think this is a really good way to remember this point, because sometimes I find as a judge there will be entries in categories that aren't a natural strength necessarily for that company, and therefore they haven't given themselves the best ability to win. So before you even choose a category, which we'll come to shortly, have a think about what your key strengths are. And I give you here Usain Bolt and Sir Mo Farah. And I would ask you, if they were entering the best runner in the world competition, would you know who would be most likely to win? Now, Usain Bolt has an average running speed of 27 miles per hour, and Mo Farah's is 17 miles per hour. So you might think, well, there's some logical impact that I could choose a winner from. Well, actually, I haven't told you over what distance that is. So Usain is the fastest man in the world up to 200 meters. But after 200 meters, Mo takes over, and he is then the fastest man in the world. So again, how would that help you to know who's going to win the best runner in the world competition? Well, my main point is actually that they don't compete against each other. They absolutely know their strengths and they stick with their strengths, and they absolutely focus on them in every competition that they enter. And so I encourage you to get to know what your strengths are, where you're standing out, and to look at the criteria and look at the categories from that perspective to see, actually, where am I going to have the strongest chance of success? So you can see in the Learning Awards 2026, there's a huge amount of categories to choose from. And it might be that actually what you're doing crosses over into multiple categories. And that's absolutely fine. You can enter as many categories as you like. So I'll just point a few out. So for example, technology and innovation. There's Learning Technologies Award, so that could be a learning app or some other kind of technology. Digital transformation, so maybe you've made a real change in the business, but then maybe also there's a learning program that you've developed around that, and you could enter the program category as well, and actually your team has been involved, or your leader, so you could get recognition for them, and it might be an internal or external solution that you could be recognized for. So there's lots of different ways to kind of slice and dice what you're doing. So I think first of all, start with understanding, well, where's our strength? What's the real impact we've had? Do we have evidence to prove it on both the logical and the emotional side of things? And which of these categories offers the best criteria to fit that? So on the website, the Learning Awards website, you will find that there is more detailed category criteria descriptions, and those are what you really need to work with in order to score the most points for your award entries. So when you get to that part and you've decided which categories to enter, it's really important to analyse the awards criteria and understand really the perspective you're coming from. This is a competition. I can tell you from experience that everyone in these awards is fantastic. It's very, very hard for the judges to choose. We always end up in a battle. And that's because everyone's doing things brilliantly. So you've really got to work as hard as you can to make sure your entries stand out. So first of all, you need to understand the overall criteria and interrogate the detailed descriptions. And I just want to make a bit of a point about AI this year. Now, I am not anti-AI at all. In fact, I'm developing an awards app, which is an AI platform. But that is going to be entirely supported and developed for entering awards. Whereas using your ChatGPT, Claude, whatever you're using at the moment, certainly in last year's competition, we saw entries coming in that were almost identical to each other. So you may be thinking, hey, this is a great entry for me, but the system you're using is also being used by others who are now sending in something very similar. Yes, your results are different. Yes, your company is different, but the framework and the information in there and the tone of voice and everything is the same. So it doesn't help your cause when you're trying to win an award. If you think back to my original statement, you get out what you put in. This really isn't about speed, it's about quality. And it's about authenticity, and it's about originality, and it's about really using your impact in a way that stands out. So just please be aware of that, and aware of what you're submitting, because imagine the judges see something similar, then immediately the points are going down. You do need to also be prepared to clarify your evidence at a finalist presentation. So the first part of the award entry is written. So that's essentially what's going to get you into the finals or not. And it is a fierce competition, so it needs to be brilliant. And then the next part of the competition for the finalists is to present directly to a panel of judges on an online Zoom like this, in kind of Dragon's Den style, with a presentation, and you'll get 15 minutes or 20 minutes to present, and then we'll have 15 or 20 minutes to ask you questions. So at that point, that's when the judges are going to interrogate more of what you've done. They want to hear from you, they want to find out from you. So, do bear in mind that second stage when you're writing your award entry, because sometimes it's the situation where the people that you want to present later down the road, you never got involved in the award entry, and they don't really know what's going on or what they're meant to be saying, and the two ends don't tie together very well. So, just bear that in mind at this point if you get into the finals, and make sure that you've got those dates available as well, because there'll be different judging days according to the different categories that you're in. And I put on here one point more can win the whole category, because that is the actual truth. I think every single year, once we've done all of our scoring and all of our discussions, and we've really nailed it down to who's going to win, there is very, very little in it. So you've really got to consider, how can I get this to the highest standard it can possibly be, and put my best foot forward into this, because that's what it's going to take to win. Using evidence to back up your claims is really important. So I've just got some examples here of the different ways that people often approach awards. So this one says, the top one says, our learning project is the best in the industry. We have created incredible results from our innovative initiatives, and our team loves the new training. Well, that's lovely, but not point scoring. No one can really objectively judge anything from that. However, if you said our people development program project was designed, move the chat, to support the commercial business strategy to grow by 7% by 2026, we started by understanding our team's needs, set targets of X, Y, and Z. Joe Blogg's testimonial says, you can see that in the paragraph not much longer there, you've got a lot of evidence built in. So it's really important for you to be thinking of your evidence, and don't wait to present it later at the presentation. It needs to come into your entry to get you through to the presentation. Now, even Shakespeare had a proofreader, and I say that because people get quite proud of and defensive of their entries, and you've written it all, and you think, yeah, that's brilliant. But it's actually really good to get an objective opinion on that because ultimately it is going to be judged objectively. So I always say never submit your first written draft. My team at August is writing award entries day in, day out, every day of the year, and they don't get to submit their first written draft. So, and we're experts in this. So, this is something that takes work and takes polish and takes time and iteration. So I always say, get your first draft out of your head. Don't worry about the word count. Just get it all out of your head. Get the story in there and then let it breathe because you need to step away from it to think about it. And the strength then comes from your editing later. If you're not sure, then it can be good to read your entry out loud because where you stumble tends to be where there's problems coming up. And where to edit. And of course, there's lots of tools now to help you Grammarly. For example, we talked about AI earlier, but be very aware of the more authentic your entry, the better it will probably do. So these are just some examples of a couple of winners last year. If you were at the event we were last year, it was absolutely fantastic and such standout successes as well. So, but just to really reiterate how important recognition is for your team and the motivation and morale that it can bring for you and, help you go on to do your next projects and to bid for the next thing in the business as well. So well done to all the teams that won last year. So, right, I will leave it there. I'm going to leave you with Nelson Mandela's statement. You either win or you learn. And I love that about the Learning Awards. I do think you either win or you learn something about your progress. And, even just putting that entry together in itself is a developmental project for you to have that time to look back on what you've achieved and present that into the awards and to the business. So, yeah, if you've got any questions, I'd be very happy to answer them now. As I said, I've judged these awards for a lot of years, so I'm very happy to, I'm very honest as well. So I'm very happy for you to ask me anything that you like, really.
Thank you so much, Donna.
That's okay.
That was
I'll
very
leave some
helpful.
bits up here as well for you as well. If anyone would like a free copy of my book, you're more than welcome to download one. It does feature the Learning Awards and lots of other awards and stories and case studies and things as well. So feel free to download that if you'd like to. And if you need support and you're not sure, maybe writing entries is not your strength in your business, your expertise is somewhere else, then do feel free to book in for a free call with my team and we can talk to you and guide you as to how we could potentially help you if you need it as well. So there's a little QR code there if you'd like it. Also, if you're not sure on your categories and things like that, then you can ask now or contact Pauline, who I'm sure will be able to help as well.
Absolutely. Thank you. That was really helpful. Lots of tips in there that will help us all while writing our submissions. And great that you're, offering that support for anyone who maybe you can't think of a question now, but once you go away and you start writing, something might come up. So yeah, please do reach out. Obviously, Donna's very kindly offered a free discovery call there and a free copy of her book. And also I'm here if you do need any support. So I can't see questions in the chat, but I think you've gone through everything very
That's always
well
a good sign.
It is always a good sign. So thank you. I'll let you all go.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Recorded. So yeah, you can obviously go back and as I say, please do contact us if you do think of any questions as you go. So good luck, everybody.
Lovely. Thanks, everyone. Good luck.
So much.
See you there. Bye.
Bye. Bye.